actually backpedaled to the beginning of Oy Samach on page Kuf and Gim. And Mitzvah Shem, it will be for good reason. We are at the beginning of the last section, last paragraph, on page Kuf and Gim. We discussed yesterday, quite extensively, a certain principle that the Rebbe is alerting us to indirectly. And that is that there is certain union in sechel that we assume that we know it, we understand. That's the expression in Weimer. It's imperative to say. Does not go on to explain what's the proof for it. In fact, it doesn't have proof and doesn't need proof. So we discussed this at great length yesterday. And I feel that that was a very important message. As we discussed yesterday, that sechel, if you bring the full richness of sechel forward, then you have the view of the entire reality, so to speak. And all you need is then to decipher what's contained in it. But essentially, by just opening your eyes, you see it all. This opening of the eyes is extremely important. Without with closed eyes, no matter how much you describe what there is in front of you, it's never going to be the reality that you have. Nothing compared, nowhere near to that which you get by one single glance. So we discussed this at great length yesterday. What's left from yesterday is what in fact is the basis of the sechel. Now the sechel has this fundamental, so to speak, this basic knowledge. Where did it get it from? In other words, we're not questioning we're not asking that for proof, but we are actually asking ourselves, yes, I know it, what is behind this knowledge? How come I know it? And the principle that needs to be recognized regarding this next step in understanding this is that the sechel is actually a gilui, a revelation, a narrowing down, a reduction of the principle of oneg. In oneg we have the entire richness of it. And then it comes into sechel and it's reduced to something that we can consciously identify. This is what sechel. Sechel, without the oil behind it, is a very poor sechel, very baseless sechel. It's what they call prove it. So you prove it, but there's no sechel behind it. I said many times, 2 times 2 equals to 4 is not sechel. Just a matter of a show of fact. Sechel is that which the neshama understands. There's no sechel in this. You're not engaging in the neshama. Pardon me, I have to get a couple of tissues.
What do you need? You need a hand finger?
What in fact is the background of sechel? The background of sechel, the basis of sechel, that makes sechel so sure of itself, is the oneg behind it. Now oneg immediately kind of conjures up all kinds of different reactions. At the simplest level, one would ask, is that you mean to say that you understand it because you're pleased, you feel good about it? That's the basis of your understanding. In other words, is it real or is it not real? So for this, I propose the following experience that we all have. We should reflect on it. We all know, as we said already, that learning language, the person becomes very adept and very proficient in the language, but which is a secondary language, in which he learned it professionally and well learned it and practiced and so forth, but nonetheless it is not his, what's called the mother tongue. This is not the tongue with which he grew up. Even though he may know it very well, better than the language with which he grew up, somehow he does not reach the effect of the mother tongue. The mother tongue to the person alerts him to his personal reality. In other words, this is not something that I know, it's not a reference point, it is the reality of this thing. When you say a table in the mother tongue, the table is not referring to a table, it is the reality of the table. If it is in a secondary language, it is a reference to a table. It's always a secondary, it's not compared to the original. What's behind this truth? This is something which we all experience. What's behind it? When the person first opens his eyes, as an infant, he is given, he senses, he feels the total comfort with the environment in which he is. That total comfort gives him a sense that this environment, this is reality, this is real. This real aspect is not a sechel in it. Sechel is there as a secondary. This is his own. This is what he relates to personally. This is his reality. A person, a human being, by design, the Rebbe created him such a rich, great entity that he is not only aware of himself, but he's aware in the entire environment in which he is present. Because in fact, by design, he has a duty to the environment. And the Pasuk says, when the Rebbe created a human being, let us make man, with some many people will say, in our form and our likeness, and they will rule the world. Is this a secondary in that he will rule it, or this is part of his design? This is part of his design. This is why it's called in our likeness. Just as we rule the world, he will rule the world. He will replace us and rule the world. That's what the human being is. In its initial planet. When the human being was brought into the world, he was rendered jurisdiction over the entire world. He felt perfectly at home every place that he went, because it was his. He was his by the divine design, by divine gift. The Rebbe said to him, "This is yours. Do with it what you consider right." This comfort, this is the name from oneg, a sense of perfect comfort in the environment in which you are. A human being has to have an environment. And the oneg is this. Now with the oneg, this is the compliment in being. This makes me gives me a mission. Give me a mission in this place. That's the part. One of the greatest suffering that a person has is he wakes up in the morning he doesn't know what to do. He has nothing to do. Nothing to do is the most. Boredom is one of the greatest suffering of a human being. Why? Because a human being was born to create, to perform, and to be effective. When he is bored, he loses self-worth. He loses identity of who he is. The divine element in him is kind of is lost. He's not in likeness to the divine. Communicate with saying, you lose it communicate with saying. This is oneg. Oneg means perfect comfort in identity, in who I am, in where I am. And due to this oneg, this is sechel is oneg at the reduced level, at the conscious level. Oneg, in oneg, we recognize the makif. What is makif? Makif means, okay, I'm coming back to the example of the language. I'm going to come back to the makif. The mother tongue is the mother. One of the greatest gifts of the mother is that to the mother, whatever you do is right. It's very important. In other words, you have full jurisdiction of your activity, of your place, of your environment. That gives a child a sense of solidity. Yes, I really belong this. In other words, he can relate to his place, but oneg, not by sechel. This oneg defines to him the reality of the world. This is why the mother tongue is his tongue. It identifies the reality, it's not a reference, a means of reference. Translate this into total human being. The total human being is that yes, he was given, but Salmanic Muslim, he was given jurisdiction and a mission in his life, in the world. This is identified within him as the oneg, as the comfort of being in the world. The sechel is a derivative of that. The sechel is a conscious identification of this. It's like it's a reduced element of oneg. This is why when he perceives makif is that which gives the support to his world. I have to explain this for a moment. What is the difference between a world with a mother and without a mother? Without a mother, there is no support, there's no buttress for this world. The mother is what gives the child the sense, this is right, this is good, it's trustworthy, I can rely on. Everything is going to be restored the way it should be. That's the mother. The makif in the world, similarly, at a much higher level, similarly gives the person the sense that this world is a solid and intentional presence. This is not a piece of wood that human beings constructed in a certain form. There's a makif, there's a sense to it. The sense to it is much higher, greater than the sechel. It's the oneg. There's oneg in his being. The makif is that which states the oneg aspect of the world. There is a world, I want it. Who wants it? The makif. The Lakus wants it. Like I mentioned to you, the Gemara says in the Tosaf, Sheikh of the Sheish, it's a Tosaf in Sheish. Now, Sheikh comes from the word Shuka. She nishtaki HaKadosh desire to create. The world has the Mebashim's desire, has the Mebashim's oneg. That's what the world was in Europe. And this is why the world is so pleasant, it's so giving to us. And we feel so comfortable in it, it's ours. Because this is the Mebashim's presence, the oneg level. This oneg translates at the sechel level. As I said, sechel is a reduced oneg. So that when there is a makif, the sechel immediately says, what's the purpose of this makif? The meaning from this makif is to provide support for the world. Therefore, for sure the makif has an effect on the world. Otherwise, why is it there? This is what we learn. The makif for sure, so even makif or early makif attack, all has an effect on the world. Because that is exactly what it is for. Makif is much superior to the world, but it's not there for remote, for its own being. It is in order to buttress and to enrich the world. This is why, the Rebbe says, this is why we can take it for granted. It's rational. Our sechel says that. The reason our sechel says that is because our oneg says that. And the reason our oneg says that is because this is what the Rebbe has imbued into the world. The one thing that you must remember at all times when we discuss these things, the world has not evolved from an atom. The world is a direct creation, a divine creation. There's absolutely oneg in the initial concept of world. It is not an inadvertent development. It is so, besides stupid, it's so incorrect. The sun rises and gives light to the world. That's a mistake. It just happens to be. And the sun is merely a ball of fire. In all of these things, unfortunately, we are all exposed to it. Many of us are exposed to it, and it always comes to haunt us. But we have to know that this is all very false, very, very far, far away from the truth. On all of this, whether in practically on the sechel level or on the oneg level, which is more important. The reason there is so much crime in the world is because the world is in evolution, so who cares about it? There's nothing new about it. But no respect for it, there's no reality to it. Okay, so this is the point which I wanted to complement yesterday's talk. So the section that we covered in the second round.
Can I ask just 1 second?
Yeah, let me just finish my sentence. Is that there are two levels of maki. Tira law and Tira Tator. And the Tira Tator, the Lord here, is closer to world, even though it also encompasses the whole world in total equality. Everything fits in there equally. In other words, there's nothing higher, closer, higher or lower. Nonetheless, we have to say that Tira Tator is closer to world. It has a certain affinity with it. On the other hand, it is also a makif, which means it is also in much higher, much not affected by the differences in the world. Tihiri law is way above it, and it is more distant to the world. But Tihiri law is also a makif on the world. Not that we know the word makif. It also has an effect on the world. It also buttresses the oneg in the world. Tihiri law has an effect on the oneg in the reality of the world. The world will never dissipate because there is profound oneg in it. Oneg of the level of Tihiri law. The Rebbe himself wants it. There's no way it's going to dissipate. That's what the world is. Like I mentioned the other day, a while ago. At some point in time, our wise men of Kham begin to worry there's not going to be enough room in the world for all the people that, population explosion. We have to cut down the population, we're not going to have room in the world. And then there was we're not going to have enough food for everybody. So he said, the Rebbe showed, it came to a point now, not now, a while ago, that we take food and throw it into the sea. In order to maintain a certain level of market value, we throw it away. If too much, we can't consume it, so you have to throw it away. To safeguard the market value, because if we don't have market value, people will stop producing, the whole cycle. So, the divine element in the world, if you have open eyes, It is everywhere that you look at it. The world is indestructible. All identification and definitions that you give to the world is only on the sechel level. It is not the real thing. Okay. Thus, now we are at the end of this top section, at the end of this section summary. The first, and the question that we're left with is, what is the difference in terms of its effect on the world of the makif earlier and the makif now? Yes, Shlomo, your turn.
Just because it's Hashem's oneg, therefore it's our oneg too.
Yes, our oneg. The Rebbe gives us this sense. Like I said before in the motion of the mother. The mother's love is what gives the child that sense of comfort in the world. The oneg is part of your nefesh, and this is what reveals that oneg. It's Hashem's oneg, and because of that, we can relate to the world at the oneg level. We don't need to be careful where we go and what we do. We relate to the world as completely comfortable at our place. Because we have the makif, the godly makif that provides us with the real world. All right. Look at this. We still have a little time. Unbelievable. Let me just read the last line on this first section of Ois Samach. But tzarich lahavin, it is necessary to understand mahu ha'hefresh beineya. What is the difference between the two levels of makif, Tehira Yelo and Tehira Tator? Since both are on one hand superior to worlds and then also have effect in the world. What then is the difference between them? And then another thing, the Gam also, Mahu Puyolosam Behoilomes, what in fact is the effect of these makifim on the world? Not makifim in general, but each makif in its own way. What's the difference between the makif Elyon and its effect on the world versus makif Tachton and its effect on the world? These are questions that we have to understand. Clearly, since we're talking about the effect of a makif, and as we said before, the effect of a makif is at the oneg level, therefore that means that this immediately demands of us, just even the question, certainly when we start to delve into the explanation of it, demands of us to bring forth the oneg aspect of our sechel. Which is not something that's can be presented, so to speak, in the mathematical logic. We have to open our eyes and see it. And from this side, we can identify what we're seeing. This is why sechel has this superior quality of sechel, which is called chokhmah. That sechel itself has also inherent in the sechel. There's a level that's akin to oneg. As I said many times, sight. You don't see things because you identify exactly what they are. You see things because they're real. It's an oneg aspect of our experience, rather than a sechel aspect. As mentioned before, this is why sechel has to be guarded very carefully. The Rebbe should help everyone to be successful in that end, because the effect of not guarding the sechel is going straight to the neshama.
Is what?
The effect of not guarding the sechel, the sight, is going straight to the neshama, because sight is a reflection of the neshama. והנה פעולת המקיף לטירתו. The effect of the makif, of tiratato, of the lower level of makif. The higher, which is in terms of identifying this makif, it is b'chinas machshava hakduma di'ak. The level, this tiratato level, is a makif that is after the tzimtzum, and it is known as machshava hakduma di'ak. Machshava hakduma di'ak means the pristine, the original machshava of Odom Chad. And we already delved into this slightly in the first time we learned it. Machshava, thought is a functional koyach. Thought does not represent the neshama itself like sechel or midas. Thought is a keli by which a sechel or midas is identified. Nonetheless, thought is very close to the neshama. Machshava is called levush, it's a garment, but it's called levush ha-meucha, the levush, that the garment that is bound up with the person himself. It's a garment that is bound with the neshama. It is not like a secondary garment that you can remove. You can remove machshava. You can change from one thought to another, but you can't be without thought. The person is without thought, then that is a state of not lifelessness.
Sorry, how did thought come into conversation right now?
Machshava hakduma di'ak.
Oh,
This
right.
is the makif. The pulas makif. This is the effect of the makif with tiratato.
This is the imprint. This is the effect.
This is the effect. Okay, we'll discuss it just to put it in the perspective. It means like this. Because that ak thinks of the world, machshava, this thinking of the world has an effect on the world.
Yes, and then we went on to say thought is continuous and indicates life. On our level, thought, there's seemingly a life behind thought, that you can quieten your thoughts, or you could still be alive without cogitating on this or that topic. You do seem to live.
Okay, there are several steps that I want to. Thought is a koyach, functional koyach, and technically it's called a levush, garment.
Yeah.
Which means a garment, like an external thing. It's a garment to the neshama. So what's the difference between the garment of thought and the garment of walking?
Lavusha karov. It's yuchad.
Mu'uchad. And how mu'uchad is this levush of thought?
Can never take it off. Meaning?
That meaning is that way. You can never take it off.
What do we mean by thought?
And thought is a constant, everything that you're aware of, from your neshama, from your sechel, from means, everything is through thought, is expressed in thought.
Okay.
If your foot hurts, How do you know that? Because it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. But when are you aware of it?
You're saying in thought, not in emotion or experience.
It's your fault.
Uh-huh.
If you say, Mommy, it hurts, that means you became aware of the hurt in your thought. Otherwise, you couldn't speak about it.
And seemingly there's a level of thought that's like chokhmah, that's sort of like gazing at the truth, or...
Yes, because, okay, so now that we're going into this thought is called levush hameuchat. Levush that is united with the nefesh, which means, as I said before, the nefesh can never shed it. A person in the mood cannot be without it. Thus, thought is a reflection, a direct reflection at the returnish, at the levush level, at the express level, what is going on inside the person. That's what thought is. And it is not like a secondary thing. First I have it in my inside and then I express it. But thought is a direct reflection of what's going on in the person.
It's a direct, it is a direct reflection, yet I can change what I think about.
Absolutely.
Why would that be the case?
Because it's only a God.
But if it's so direct, seemingly it would give its signal and I would receive it. But here I can change the channel. I can go to a different topic.
That's right, because all these topics are also part of my nefesh.
Oh, so I can, okay, so, and different viewpoints or different topics are more true to the nefesh than others, presumably.
Yes.
And you're obligated, I guess, to
Yes, for
guide
example,
your
yes,
thoughts
yes,
and
yes.
okay.
Yes, there's the nefesh, the topic of nefesh like Havas Hashem, and that comes from the nefesh. And there is a topic, like I said, you look at something, and that also a nefesh response.
Right.
So this thought, which is called Machshava Hantum Diak, this thought encompasses the entire creation, all the worlds. And as we shall see, in Mitzvah Hashem, on the one hand, this is only thought, which is only a garment, a means by which this is expressed. At the same time, this thought of such direct, close proximity to the essence that it expresses the life of the essence, the oil of the essence.